and limited movement. Yet, it's in times like these that the Kenyan spirit of resilience, unity, and resolve has in the past come to life and emboldened us as a people. Even now, amid the uncertainty and gloom, there is hope. Hope that together we will overcome this challenge and rise again as a nation. And when we do, the magic of Kenya will be here to take us on a thrilling adventure. We will once again do what we love, take to our sunny beaches to revitalize, and we will once again go back to having unforgettable safaris. Without a doubt, we will be back to creating memories together over good food and company, hanging out with friends as we cheer on our favorite teams, and taking a break from the everyday hustle at the park or even with just a good night out. Together, we will overcome this moment, and we will be back to doing all the things we love doing most. Magical Kenya. The magic awaits.
Yeyote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19. Hao ni kama watu ambao wanaishi na magonjwa kama vile virusi vya HIV, kansa, TB, kisukari, miongoni mwa magonjwa mengine. Lazima wazingatie matibabu ili kuboresha kinga mwilini. Lazima wahakikishe wamepata dawa ipasavyo. Tembelea kliniki yako au kituo cha afya kilicho karibu nawe kwa maelezo kamili kuhusu jinsi ya kupata dawa. Pia wasaidie jamaa na rafiki kupata dawa. Dumisha mawasiliano nao na ufuate mwongozo wa kiafya kutoka kwa kituo cha afya ili kujikinga na virusi vya korona. Pata habari kuhusu COVID-19 kupitia vyanzo vinavyoaminika. Piga 719 au bonyeza *719#. COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na serikali ya Kenya.
It is the 31st of May 2020, the last day of the month of May, and exactly 6 months since the first case of coronavirus was first reported in the world. That's in Wuhan city in China, and there is no breakthrough yet as far as cure or vaccine for this virus is concerned. The numbers keep rising. We are at 6.1 million cases globally, and in the country we also are recording an increasing number of cases of COVID-19. The curve still shooting up and up. So what is the solution? The Minister of Health says that the solution lies in the hands of Kenya's change of behavior, and adopting to the new normal is the way to go, following the guidelines by the Ministry of Health. Remember, in the last 24 hours, we recorded 74 number of cases, positive cases for COVID-19. And this is from the 5,074 samples that were tested. That's quite a high number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 when you compare with the samples that were collected and tested. And then good news, 14 people were discharged from hospitals after they tested negative for coronavirus, and 1 person died from the disease. And when you have a look at the cumulative number of COVID-19 right now, the total number of confirmed cases stand at 1,962, just about less than 100 cases on number before we hit the 2,000 mark. And the cumulative tested samples so far since the first case was reported is 78,536, and the number of recoveries stand at 474. And then we have a total of 64 people who have died of COVID-19 since the 13th of March. And that's the latest. And of course, the numbers keep rising. So what do we expect of Kenyans? Kenyans are being urged to change their behavior. You will need to observe carefully the guidelines provided by the Ministry of Health, washing your hands, using the mask, keeping the social distance, staying at home if necessary. So again tonight on Family Matters, there have been questions on where people have been asking, where are these people are positive, where are the recoveries that tested positive and have been discharged to go home. There is a lot of stigma as far as COVID-19 is concerned, so most of them are not willing to share their identity or reveal their identity. So this week on Family Matters, we take you to one of Kenya's isolation and treatment center for COVID-19 and listen to stories of COVID-19 patients. Some have recovered from COVID-19, but they will also be telling us some of the symptoms that they have expressed. Also, the mental problem, the stress and dilemma for those who are yet to test or to recover from this disease is the biggest issue that COVID-19 patients are facing. Why don't you look forward for that? Sit back, relax, and of course, enjoy Channel 1 News Weekend, which begins right now with the highlights.
That the party leader, Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula, is hereby dismissed from the position of party leader.
Ni vibaraka wa wengine. Ya pili ni walafi, wanasukumwa na ulafi, na ya tatu tamaa imewazidi.
Boardroom coup, Moses Wetangula briefly dethroned as Ford Kenya party leader in what has turned out to be Bungoma political supremacy battle.
"74 have tested positive."
Calling for behavior change, Minister of Health urges Kenyans to stick to coronavirus guidelines as 74 more test positive. And Tana River County's appalling state locals displaced by floods now live in fear of snake bites. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Purity Museo. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter tonight. Feel free to talk to us at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. The hashtag to use is Channel 1 Weekend. Remember, we are also live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. Let's now get started. Two factions have emerged in Ford Kenya, with each side staking claim of the leadership of the party. A section led by Bungoma Governor Wycliffe Wangamati on Sunday ousted Moses Wetangula as party leader, accusing him of gross misconduct. Wetangula has, however, dismissed his removal, claiming he is the legitimate party boss.
It was a Sunday full of political drama as members of the Forum for Restoration of Democracy, Ford Kenya, engaged each other in a tug of war over the control of Kenya's second oldest political party. Kwanza MP Ferdinand Wanyonyi, a close ally of party leader Moses Wetangula, being declared a persona non grata in a hostile takeover of the party.
I am a member of parliament, and therefore I'm the chairman. How can you throw me out?
Moments later, a group led by Bungoma Governor Wycliffe Wangamati announced that the party's National Executive Committee had met and resolved to remove Moses Wetangula as party leader.
The party leader, Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula, is hereby dismissed from the position of party leader on account of gross misconduct, moral impropriety, and violation of the party constitution. 2, that the Honorable Wafula Wamunyinyi shall assume the office and functions of the party leader on an interim basis.
We have the challenge of winning the trust of Kenyans
as a party that dreamt up the form and shape of Kenya we live in today.
If today you ask many members across the party, they will tell you that the party leader of Ford Kenya has failed in ensuring that there is unity within the party of Ford Kenya.
Moses Wetangula would then scramble an emergency meeting at the party's headquarters, terming his alleged ouster as fraudulent and non-binding.
Ni walafi, wanasukumwa na ulafi, na ya tatu, tamaa imewazidi. Na hiyo tamaa vile imewazidi, watakuja kuangukia pahali pabaya.
This is not the time of a coup, and I want you to welcome everyone on this party leader. We are going to move around everywhere in the party, and we want to assure you of social democracy of this party.
Wetangula, who was allegedly replaced by Kandui MP Wafula Wamunyinyi, instead announcing that the party had suspended Secretary General Eseli Simiyu, who he accused of colluding with enemies of the party.
When you choose the path of evil, the consequences await you. We have, as a party, suspended David Eseli Simiyu. He's no longer our Secretary General, and in his place, NEC has appointed Dr. Chris Wamalwa from Kimilini as our acting Secretary General until further communication will be given.
The unfolding political drama in Ford Kenya was met with varied reactions, with Abani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi terming it as a systemic coup aimed at killing political parties and, by extension, democracy.
We urge Ford Kenya to be firm against quislings and in its resolve to stand with the people of Kenya.
Ford Kenya!
Simba, Simba, Simba. Usawa, haki na ukweli.
For Channel 1 News, I am Edward Kabasa.
To our daily COVID-19 update, the government is still imploring Kenyans to change their behavior if the country is to flatten the coronavirus curve. Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Rashid Aman, who announced 74 new cases in the past 24 hours, says the containment measures would bear the desired results faster if every individual acted responsibly. Over a similar period, the country lost one person from Kayole in Nairobi. The month of May came to a close with new coronavirus infections in the country still worrying. The Minister of Health throwing the ball to Kenyans to adopt behavior change if the country is to win the war against the pandemic.
I want to remind us all that the behavior of the infection curve, the trajectory that this curve will take, is totally dependent on our behavior as a people. Each of us has a role to play. Adopting responsible social behaviors to break the transmission chain of the virus is of vital importance.
The Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Rashid Aman, saying the government is rolling out various interventions to cushion the vulnerable members of the society, but Kenyans have the magic in their hands to defeat the monster.
In the short term, and to revamp the economy in the long term. Such interventions include the weekly stipend of 1,000 shillings to those most adversely affected by the pandemic. To date, the government has disbursed Kenya shillings 1 billion in support of this initiative.
In the last 24 hours, Kenya recorded 74 new cases of coronavirus from 1,574 samples, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 1,962.
Nairobi, 35. Mombasa, 23. Busia, 6. Kiambu, 2. Kwale, 2. Kajiado, 2. Uasin Gishu, 2. Kilifi 1, Laikipia 1, and Taita Taveta 1.
Laikipia became the latest county to report a positive case of coronavirus.
On a sad note, we have lost another patient from Kayole to the disease, bringing our total number of fatalities to 64.
The total number of counties with confirmed cases now stands at 74. Nairobi is leading with a total of 1,032 cases. Mombasa has 557 cases. Kajiado 72, Kiambu 49, Busia 47, Wajir 34, Kwale 32, Migori 26, Uasin Gishu 20, while Mandera has 18 cases. 14 people have, however, been discharged, bringing the total number of recoveries to 474. So far, Kenya has tested a total of 78,536 samples cumulatively. Moving on, at least 31 remandees and prisoners in Nairobi have tested positive for coronavirus after 59 samples were tested on Thursday this week, according to Kenya Prison Service Commissioner General Wycliffe Ogolla. The positive cases are from 59 inmates who had completed a 21-day quarantine stay at Nairobi Remand and Allocation Prison after being charged from various courts. Public health officials have evacuated 31 inmates who turned positive for COVID-19 at the Nairobi Remand and Allocation Prison. Commissioner of Prisons Wycliffe Ogolla said the inmates have been moved to various hospitals for treatment. According to KPS, the positive cases are from 59 inmates who had completed a 21-day quarantine stay at the Nairobi Remand and Allocation Prison after being charged in various courts. Commissioner General Wycliffe Ogolla said the test samples were collected on Thursday, May 28, as part of the ongoing mass testing, and results returned Saturday. Those who have turned positive were among the 143 confirmed cases announced by the Minister of Health on Saturday, raising the national tally at 1,888.
We will continue to watch and work with the correctional department in terms of looking at not only the Makadara Remand Prison, but generally most of the other prisons within our countries. We know that the Remand Prison was an entry point because that is a point of interaction between people who have just been arrested from the general population and who are placed there for a while they move to court.
The 129 correctional facilities in Kenya have had strict containment measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus. The move has seen 11,000 petty offenders and convicts who had already served the entirety of their respective jail terms released to decongest the facilities. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services conducted its last phase 1 coronavirus mass testing exercise at Eastleigh on Sunday, with few locals turning up to be tested. The targeted mass testing has been going on for the last 11 days in areas that had been mapped out as the virus hotspots, but many say the fear of being quarantined had damped the initiative.
The Nairobi Metropolitan Services has been conducting targeted mass testing in Nairobi for the last 11 days. The exercise had been voluntary and phase 1 came to a close Sunday at Eastleigh, but with diminished numbers. At about 12 p.m. Sunday, the testing center had less than a handful of locals taking advantage of the free testing. And according to Nairobi Metropolitan Services Health Promotion Coordinator Lilian Mutua, the turnout was not impressive.
I know this is a peculiar community. First of all, they are not people who rise up very early. It has happened even when we are having the polio campaign, the measles campaign, the cholera campaigns. From midday is when they start becoming a bit active. And seeing that at now we are already close to 200 people, we say that this is a good turnout.
Those who turned up for testing, however, say the fear of being quarantined had made many people shy away from turning up for the testing.
Kule nje vile muulize swali, watu wako na tension, wanaogopa. Juu wanasema hata kama una corona, wanakuambia tu wakikupima uko na corona, utapelekwa ufungiwe, kitu kama hicho. So there is tension.
Uoga na unatokana kwa vile wanasikia wakitangaza watu wamepatikana wengi. Sasa kila mtu anaona nikipatikana sasa mimi nitakuwa mmoja wapo kuja kuchukuliwa.
Health officials undertaking the exercise say it was unfortunate that the stigma associated with the pandemic had clouded the war against the virus.
What I'd really ask the community is, I know most of them are fearing the discrimination and the stigma. But this should not come in, because if you're positive and or you've exhibited the signs and you're not coming forth for the testing, how many other people are you going to infect?
So far, Isili area, which has been under partial lockdown, has had 4 mass testing exercises. Some of the residents we spoke to on the streets, however, are calling on the government to ease the stringent measures adopted in the area, terming the economic situation worrying.
Tuko na shida. Wamama tunaumia. Wamama tunalia, tunahangaika. Njaa, penye tulikuwa tunafanya kazi, tumefungiwa.
Kila siku tunasikia tu ambulance inapita, tunaambiwa watu corona. Lakini mimi kwa upande wangu nashukuru nimefanywa testing, niko sawa. Lakini tungependelea pia serikali iendelee kuangalia wananchi na kuwafanyia matibabu na madawa.
After 11 days of mass testing in targeted areas within Nairobi County, today is the close of the phase 1 of mass testing here in Nairobi, as the government says plans are underway to kick off phase 2. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News, Nairobi.
And childhood immunization can be tasking to a new parent, and sometimes one may miss the recommended vaccines if not well informed. Vaccines are quite important to the baby, given that as they offer protection against more than 14 different killer diseases. Tonight on our coronavirus fact sheet, we tell you why, as a parent, you should not miss any single vaccination appointment for your newborn.
Taking care of a newborn, there is the Mother and Child Handbook that has various illustrations that show danger signs that indicate a baby is unwell and should be immediately taken to hospital. These danger signs include baby refusing to breastfeed, a baby who has either very high fever or low fever, a baby who's not active as usual, a baby with breathing difficulties, a baby who is jaundiced or has yellowness of the eyes and the body. These are danger signs. If your baby has any of these signs, they should immediately be taken to a health facility.
Time for us now to take our first commercial break. Eli Otieno, you're saying, I'm tuned in from Siaya, Asembo Bay. I'm also trying to behave normally here at home. Don't behave normally. And then Harrington Jenga, what my fellow politicians are doing is weakening the war against COVID-19. I'm warning them. Okay, please let them know that. And then Cockney, you're saying you can also, all right, you're addressing something there differently. Harrington, yeah, you're watching from Emma Hondo, Kakamega. What my fellow politicians are doing also is weakening. All right, thank you so much for your feedback. Babu Odera, you're saying you're also watching Channel 1 from Bamburi in Mombasa. Keep watching. Remember, on our Family Matters tonight, we are taking you inside one of Kenya's isolation and treatment center here in Kenya, and just have a look at what actually an ideal isolation center is like, what sort of treatment is given or available for patients of COVID-19, the symptoms, and whether they really exist. Yes, they do. We will be having that and much more after this short breather. Stay with us.
Top on Channel 1. Yeyote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19. Pata habari kuhusu COVID-19 kupitia vyanzo vinavyoaminika. Piga 719 au bonyeza *719#. COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii.
Je, ungependa kujua jinsi ninavyojizuia kuambukizwa au kuambukizana virusi vya korona? Ni rahisi. Mwanzo, ninaziendesha shughuli zangu zote za kikazi na hata za kibiashara kutoka papa hapa nyumbani kwangu. Baadaye ninaitunza mwili wangu vyema kwa kuiweka katika hali iliyo sawa kupitia mazoezi ya mara kwa mara na pia lishe bora. Mwishowe, ninaungana na jamii yangu pamoja na marafiki zangu kupitia njia ya simu au mtandao ili kuzuia dhiki na upweke wakati huu mgumu. Kumbuka, haijalishi kama uko na virusi vya korona au la, salia nyumbani, uokoe maisha.
It's a different ball game. Online concerts, album releases, and virtual parties.
That's the new norm in the entertainment scene.
Kasi pesa au biashara.
Hatuna wakati ya watu feki.
They say I'm drunk.
Grapevine exclusive.
Of course, being a beauty pageant, you have to first showcase your prowess in fashion and modeling.
A lot is going on and it's happening fast.
Corona or no corona, hii mwaka lazima zote test.
We are on top of things to bring you up to speed to meet all your entertainment peacemakers.
Live in their bubble and be privy to what they're up to.
I could still feel the audience energy.
11 songs was not easy, but I'm happy we did it.
Let's rock and roll on Grapevine.
Every Monday at 10 p.m.
Hali imekuwa ngumu, hakuna pesa kila kona, kila mtu unamdai naye anasingizia corona.
You're watching Channel 1 Weekend. Thank you so much for staying with us. And thousands of flood victims in Tana Delta, Tana River County are living in pathetic conditions at camps for internally displaced persons and lack access to health facilities nearby. Worst affected are expectant mothers who are forced to deliver at the camps with the help of traditional birth attendants since roads were completely cut off by the heavy downpour.
Lack of proper sanitation facilities and with no health facilities within reach. This is the sorry state of persons living in camps for those displaced by floods in Tana Delta.
Kama mtu mmoja akona watoto family 8-9 hivi, sijui tutawapeleka wapi. Na hii chakula yetu yote imeenda na maji. Na hatuna biashara yoyote na hatukuli mshahara ya nje. Sijui serikali wanangojea nini? Labda sisi tufe ndio waje baadaye kutoa pole.
Madio na masachifu hawatembelei hii watu. Dio hatumuoni, DC hatumuoni, chakula imesemekana rice hatuoni. Hawa watu wako na shida kwa hivyo.
For areas worst hit by the heavy rainfall such as Kipini West, majority of health facilities remain closed with few operating in the remote areas without drugs. The situation is so dire that expectant women are delivering under trees or in the makeshift shelters.
Angalieni hawa watoto vile wako. Na wamama wameathirika sana. Kuna wamama wanajifungua hapa tu nje. Hakuna hospitali za hii ambao inahudumu. Hata dawa ya maji hatuna, chakula hatuna. Mahali ya kulala pia hatuna.
Shora Godana, one of the traditional birth attendants, said she has assisted 6 women to deliver.
Hata usiku mimi nazalisha inde hapo. Hakuna nyumba. Na ingine iko mimba, sijui usiku utazaa, anazalisha wapi mimi? Anazalisha wapi mimi? Ana dawa. Hata kama wanawake wengine kama anazaa, damu anatiririka.
Movement from the IDP camps to other areas requires one to cross the crocodile and snake-infested river. In fact, when Channel 1 crew visited the area, a 10-year-old girl was bitten by a snake after she and her family had crossed over from Manono, the nearest health facility being over 50 kilometers away, the road being completely impassable. Her parents were forced to use traditional methods to neutralize the venom.
Hawa mama usiku wanakaa hivi paka asubuhi kwa ajili ya siafu, umbu, nyoka, fisi, kila wanyama iko wanasumbulika hapa. Na chatu ndio mbaya inameza hata mtoto.
Kipini West member of County Assembly Musa Wario says over 4,000 people in the area have been displaced by floods.
Tunasema kwamba serikali hapa mahala umezembea. Iko haja kubwa. Ya kwanza tunahitaji msaada chakula kwa haraka iwezekanavyo. Serikali wana mamlaka ama wana ile pesa ya kuleta chakula paka hapa.
Meanwhile, the victims are afraid that there could be an outbreak of cholera, dysentery and other waterborne diseases if they continue living in such conditions. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Such a sad situation in Tana River. We hope the county government will do something for those residents suffering right there. About 50 truck drivers from South Sudan have been quarantined in Uganda after testing positive for coronavirus. Uganda's health ministry says the focus is now on testing truck drivers who carry goods across borders. Meanwhile, the United Nations World Food Programme is warning that bottlenecks at borders are putting the delivery of vital supplies at risk, especially where long-distance truck drivers are involved.
The war on coronavirus has been stepped up in Africa after Nigeria Air Force Institute of Technology in Kaduna commenced making ventilators locally. The government said the ventilators will go a long way to help out not only coronavirus patients but also others with respiratory illnesses, and added that materials for the ventilators were all sourced locally in the northern state. Nigeria currently has nearly 9,000 cases of coronavirus, and some say the figures could be much higher as testing levels are still very low across the country. In Rwanda, the country's Ministry of Health reported the nation's first death caused by coronavirus. The victim is a 65-year-old driver who opted to return home from a neighboring country where he resided after falling severely ill. Elsewhere, Latin American countries are struggling to get the coronavirus outbreak under control. The death toll in the region has topped 50,000 cases, with countries such as Brazil, Chile, Mexico, and Peru under pressure to stem the tide. Brazil has now surpassed France to record the fourth highest death toll in the world. The country's death toll has increased to 28,834, with 956 new deaths in the last 24 hours. Singapore has confirmed 518 more coronavirus infections, taking its toll to 34,884. Migrant workers living in the dormitories make up the vast majority of the new cases. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troenjoe.
Thank you so much, Ben Troenjoe, for that global outlook. I hope you're also looking forward to our special report tonight. Channel 1 given access to one of isolation and treatment centers for coronavirus here in Kenya, and speaking with the frontline health workers, the patients themselves, and having a look at how an ideal isolation center looks like. You do not want to miss that report. At Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 is the hashtag Channel 1 Weekend. Tell us, also speak to us. Tell us your opinion, your views, what you experience right now with this coronavirus pandemic. What has changed for you? All your views are welcome tonight on our Sunday night broadcast. Experts in kidney ailments have raised concerns over the poor diagnosis and lack of awareness on signs and risks of kidney disease, saying the trend is to blame for the increased cases of kidney disorders in the country. Dr. Srinivas Murray, a consultant nephrologist and chief transplant physician at the Medhill Group of Schools, says the concrete actions need to be taken in overseeing the care of renal patients who are at risk of severe illness due to COVID-19. Ben Chumba reports.
According to the Kenya Renal Association, cases of kidney disease is on the rise in Kenya, with at least 8,000 new cases reported annually. Figures indicate that 1 out of 10 Kenyans has some form of kidney disorder, translating to about 4 million people.
That is where the trouble starts for the community, where all these so-called lifestyle diseases, they ultimately boil down to the kidney and then land up in chronic kidney disease. And then you extend it, it will go to dialysis. You extend it a little bit more, go to transplantation. Each is costlier than the other.
Medical experts now say the poor diagnosis and lack of awareness on signs and risk of kidney disease is to blame.
This is one disease even if it is severe and chronic, we have measures to prevent death, even if kidneys have failed. And people are afraid that they will be condemned to lifelong dialysis. Now that is where the fear starts. That is from where the question of how to prevent kidney disease is coming. And that is the reason the cost of supporting a dialysis program is immense on any government in the world.
With more dialysis centers and equipment set up across the country, more patients are able to access treatment. However, the cost of kidney disease treatment continues to keep away some patients. It is estimated that between 2,000 and 2,500 patients are on dialysis in the country, against 10,000 who have been diagnosed with end-stage kidney disease, referred to as kidney failure.
Make a patient live for 10 years on dialysis, average at least, it may take about 10 millions. So that is where both the common people, the families, the individuals and the governments, they're afraid how to support the whole program. So the only way through is to prevent the risk factor. You control the risk factor, you will prevent the disease, and then you prevent the complication.
Patients with kidney failure usually require about 3 sessions of dialysis, with each costing about 10,000 shillings. The National Hospital Insurance Fund, NHIF, pays at least 9,000 per patient per dialysis session and at least 500,000 for a kidney transplant at private hospitals.
Or if you have an option of somebody donating a kidney to you, transplant is a better option because you are back to your productivity. You are again contributing to yourself, your family and to the nation. Not just lying down on dialysis twice a week and then not doing anything. And then you become a burden to yourself, to the family and to the nation overall.
Outside the NHIF cover, hospitals charge up to 2 million shillings for each transplant, underlining the benefits of NHIF cover, especially for low-income households. Efforts by the national and county government to improve renal care has seen dialysis being done in major referral public hospitals in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu and Eldoret. However, following cessation of movement and loss of livelihood due to COVID-19, the ability of some patients with kidney disease to access regular care and medications in some parts of the country have been severely restricted. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Thank you, Ben, for that informative report. To some politics, the Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi is now accusing KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli of abandoning workers whom he claims are wallowing in uncertainty and immersing himself in political celebrations. Speaking on Sunday, Mudavadi accused Atwoli of engaging in what he termed celebratory jamborees which do not address the plight of Kenyan workers.
The former vice president said it was unfortunate that the KOTU boss was enjoying himself at lavish functions, defying all the coronavirus guidelines. Yet Kenyans found doing the same are rounded up and quarantined, and no action has been taken against him.
The bad news for us in the elite political class is that this cannot go on forever.
Mudavadi wondered how Kenyans will be held to account for flouting the guidelines if politicians who should lead by example are defying the same with impunity.
If wananchi who party are rounded up and quarantined, why don't leaders who do the same get quarantined? Or do we have different categories of citizens? Those for whom the law was made and those who are above the law.
The Amani party boss challenged Atwoli to think of the Kenyan worker and the agony they are going through at times of pandemic instead of engaging in politics. Meanwhile, Kiamba Member of Parliament Paul Koinange has called on leaders to embrace unity as the country celebrates 57 years since it got independence.
So I will urge all Kenyans, as from Koinange family, please, let's unite together and work together. And our national anthem is very clear that Kenyans should unite together, live as brothers and sisters, work together for the good of this country.
Koinange, who is also the chairperson of the Security Committee in the National Assembly, wants leaders to stop politicking, but instead focus on helping the country fight the coronavirus pandemic.
And let us stop politicking from Monday to Sunday and politicking from January up to December. This is not what we fought to get our independence. We fought our independence to pull together, work as a nation, and address all the issues which we knew were there.
Elsewhere, Kirinyaga Deputy Governor Peter Ndambiri has called for sobriety amongst local leaders instead of engaging in endless political bickering.
And I'm calling upon all leaders to stand united, including the members of the County Assembly, the Senate, the members of Parliament. We should all stand in unity within this Kirinyaga County and work with other bodies within the county.
Ndabiri said it was unfortunate that a group of youth had been hired by political goons to hurl insults on Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho for touring the country, yet he is also a leader from the same county.
I saw a few young men trying to lecture a full PS that he should resign. Resigning for what? For what the president has told him to come and do. I am calling upon the elders in Kirinyaga to give counsel to these young men who are being misled and tell them that readers ought to be respected.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Timothy Kipnospo.
We now want to take our second commercial break, but I want to thank the people that are streaming Channel 1 Weekend Live. Charles Musungu, you're watching from Kericho County. Isaac Kipchumba, watching from Eldoret. Julius Iha, you're watching from Malindi, Ganda. Joshua Munguru, Ishmael, watching from Kisii. Nyatieko, Milimani, Kinyozi, and Brian Bates, you're watching live from Kericho County. Stacy, watching from Litain, and James Maura, you're watching from Kayole. That's on Facebook. Keep talking to us at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1. Let's now take that breather. I'll see you shortly.
We, umeingiaje kwa hii jikoni?
Wewe achana bwana, wewe ujui tulitokea wapi? Acha hata wewe toka hapa.
Wacha upuzi yako hiyo. Toka nje bwana.
Hii jikoni niko hapa ndani na nitakaa hapa and make decision.
Wacha maneno yako bwana, toka nje bwana. Wewe unajua tulijenga hapa watu wawili jikoni.
Kupata sitoki jikoni, bonyeza *811 *818 bonyeza *811 *818
Wewe wacha zako bwana.
Uhuru Stadium.
It's a different ball game. Online concerts, album releases, and virtual parties.
That's the new norm in the entertainment scene.
Kasi pesa ubiashara.
Hatuna wakati ya watu feki.
They say I'm drunk.
Grapevine exclusive. Of course, being a beauty pageant, you have to first showcase your prowess in fashion and modeling.
A lot is going on and it's happening fast.
Corona or no corona, hii mwaka lazima zote test.
We are on top of things to bring you up to speed to meet all your entertainment peacemakers.
Live in their bubble and be privy to what they're up to.
I could still feel the audience energy.
11 songs was not easy, but I'm happy we did it.
Let's rock and roll on Grapevine.
Every Monday at 10 p.m.
Hali imekuwa ngumu, hakuna pesa kila kona, kila mtu unamdai naye anasingizia corona.
Welcome back. I hope you're still tuned in. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter tonight. Tomorrow, Monday, June 1st, 2020, Kenyans will celebrate Madaraka Day, an annual holiday commemorating the day the country attained internal self-rule. This year marks 57 years since liberation from British colony, and for the first time in Kenya's history, national celebrations will be virtual in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. As Irene Muchuma Odim reports, the event will be held at State House, Nairobi, and attended by a few dignitaries, with proceedings being broadcast live on radio, television, and social media platform.
Jomo Kenyatta presented some of the guests to the Duke and Mr. Sands.
From 1963 to 2019, Kenyans have been marking national celebrations in style. Large public gatherings, entertainment, and the president's speech would be the highlight in many national holidays. One of those is Madaraka Day.
Institutions that help us fight corruption can themselves undoubtedly become corrupt.
For decades, national celebrations to commemorate the day were hosted at the Nyayo National Stadium before the government adopted rotational hosting by counties following implementation of devolution in 2013. Regional celebrations would also be held on the same day, where local authorities used the occasions to address pertinent issues affecting their respective communities. This year, the national celebrations were to be held in Kisii County, where the government and locals were ready. But with the COVID-19 pandemic, things have changed.
Waswahili wanasema mgeni karibu, mwenyeji afanye nini? Apone. Ukisunguka hii tauni yetu haikukua vile ilikuwa juzi ama jana ama siku ingine. Wakati huu imeng'ara, maji mvua ikinyesha maji inaenda Lake Victoria.
And after this year's May Day celebrations were held at State House, Nairobi, with Kenyans following virtually, the same will apply to Madaraka Day festivities. The only difference is that the Kenya Defence Forces stage their customary parade from Nyayo National Stadium, while fire jets will fly over the stadium and State House. Proceedings will include televising of recorded entertainment programs and documentaries showing Kenya's milestone since attaining self-rule on 1st June 1963. As with national holiday traditions, the revelry will culminate with President Uhuru Kenyatta's address to the nation. In line with the government's COVID-19 prevention protocols, a few guests have been invited to State House for the celebrations, which will begin at 8 a.m. and aired live on radio, television, and social media platforms. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
And that's how it will be tomorrow. Celebrations for Madaraka Day virtual this time round, with just a few people at State House. Nairobi will be forced to listen and or watch via television sets. Of course, we'll be live. Channel 1 News will be live coming to you from State House on that. We'll be having a live broadcast of the Madaraka Day celebrations at State House. Hope you'll be tuned in, because this COVID-19 will not allow any gathering of many people. From the county, stakeholders in the border industry have expressed concern over the safety following plans to open up the economy. The stakeholders said the border riders are vulnerable to the COVID-19 pandemic given the nature of their work, and calls on the government to scale up the mass testing exercise before opening up the country.
The boda sector, which has 1.2 million riders, is now raising concerns over their safety as the government gears towards opening up the economy. They want the government to scale up the mass testing before any such moves are implemented.
Assuming and sensitization, education to them, and proper training is not done to these people, then we are preparing ourselves to the worst. Should we open the economy?
Elsewhere, over 50 boda operators from Gatongora took to the streets Sunday morning to protest over the poor state of roads in the area. The operators who planted shrubs on the dilapidated road accused the county government of paying the contractor over 500 million shillings to construct the Rainbow Gatongora Road, only for the road to last few months. Moving on, bar and restaurant owners in Kiambu town have embarked on sprucing up their business premises after a short stint of closure following the Ministry of Health directive. The traders have embarked on fumigating the places as they prepare to resume business next week. The Kenya Tobacco Control Alliance is urging the government to ensure that regulation put in place to control tobacco use in the country is strictly adhered to. Speaking during the marking of the Tobacco Control Day in Kakamega County, the Alliance chairman Joel Gitali called on the government to rein on companies using youth to promote their products.
Tujue ya kwamba tunapotumia sigara tunaleta madhara makubwa sana kwa miili yetu, na kwa hivyo kurahisisha sana maangamizi kutokana na corona. Tunafanya makali ya corona kuwa zaidi.
Elsewhere, youth from Goima PCEA Church in Thika, Kiambu County have developed a spray booth with a motive to combat the contagious coronavirus. The youth say they were motivated after witnessing the high traffic in public areas such as markets, hospitals, supermarkets, and police stations. Meanwhile, 2 needy families in Bomachoge Chache sub-county were assisted with foodstuffs, clothes, beddings to cushion them from the COVID-19 pandemic. The families lauded the good gesture by a section of leaders from Nairobi, saying numerous cries over the same to their local leaders always fall on deaf ears. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has in the meanwhile assured residents of Turkana County that the government will scale up efforts to spray the desert locust which have invaded the county.
Increase the number of scouts like these elders you have seen me talking to. They already have information which we can help us in a big way because the area is expansive, and therefore even with the planes, surveillance planes, you may not be able to get all the areas. You require the community to participate in providing the information.
Elsewhere, leaders from Busia and Siaya counties now want the National and County Lands Department to fast-track survey and demarcation of the disputed boundary between the two counties at Osieko Beach. Finally, a newborn baby girl has been rescued after being dumped by her mother in a tea plantation in Mabruk village, Limuru, Kiambu County. The infant was found by tea farmers in the morning who alerted authorities. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
On the next episode of Elena's Ghost.
Boy, this job will be your only test. If you do it well, you're hired.
The twin is going to blow everyone up.
Who was that? The guy with all the explosives?
Yes. He just met with our friend Elena Calcagno.
No prison can contain her. They are going to have to kill her. Kill her and that'll be that.
She wants to kill me, so I offer myself so that you can arrest her. What?
It's It's now time for sports news, and Women in Motorsport Kenya Federation have announced elaborate plans geared towards empowering more females savor equal opportunities to compete at the highest level of the sport. The unprecedented move is part of the 5-year strategy envisaged to grow young budding talent at the grassroots level.
One of the things we decided to take up is to understand why women are not getting sponsorship, and then how do we package ourselves. We also looked at, or are planning to look at, how we can get women to grow from karting, increase the number in karting, grow through the system to autocross, and finally to rallying, and ensure that the growth actually happens. Because if we leave it to chance, we've realized that it's not happening.
Yes, that's saying.
Well, a total of 31 cyclists took part in the 34-kilometer Diani bicycle race that was held along Diani Road, Kwale County. The proceeds of the race, organized by Diani Tigers Taekwondo Club, will benefit a total of 41 vulnerable households within Ukunda. The initiative aims at pooling resources so as to cushion families from the effects of COVID-19, which has caused a close down of businesses, rendering many with no resource of income. The race was flagged off at Diani Bazaar and took riders to a 34-kilometer stretch in searing heat before culminating at Chale, where impressive riders were awarded. According to the organizers, a second edition of the competition geared to pooling resources together during these pandemic times is planned in 2 months' time. Riders took part in the race in adherence to restrictive measures put in place by the government to check the spread of coronavirus in the country. All right, and that's it for sport. And on Family Matters tonight, we are doing it differently. Remember, I told you that we'll be having a look at what exactly happens at an ideal isolation and treatment centers. And of course, keep talking to us and tell us what you think. And there's someone who's asking what are some of the challenges that they go through, and we'll have to wait and listen to what the COVID-19 patients go through. And of course, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, quarantine wasn't such a dreaded word. Despite the inconveniences of seclusion, it has, however, become synonymous with the scourge, more so because of the crucial role it plays in curbing the spread of the coronavirus. Now, the treatment for those infected. We, Channel 1, were able to access one of the few COVID-19 isolation and treatment centers in the country, and gives you first-hand experiences of both patients and doctors in the grip of the pandemic. Just to watch and tell us what you think about these patients of COVID-19, the trauma they have to go through, and what should be done actually to help them in this journey. Take a look.
Kenyatta University Referral Hospital is Kenya's main COVID-19 treatment center.
We are here to find out the capacity of this facility, especially on the ICU beds, the bed capacity, and the oxygen, whether it's available. At the same time, do we have enough PPEs for the healthcare providers here? So join us even as we speak with a few recoveries of COVID-19 and those still positive for the disease.
At the hospital currently, it's a 650-bed hospital, opened last year, October. And then this year in March, it was declared a COVID treatment and isolation unit.
Furthermore, the facility has a new 60-bed infectious unit block, the hospital's new COVID-19 isolation and treatment center, ready to address a rise in COVID-19 cases.
So far, we've managed to see more than 300 patients have gone through our hospital. As an isolation unit, we were referred because one, being a level 6, we are able, all our patients that are admitted here have access to oxygen supply. So we're able to, even a patient requires oxygen, we're able to give them. It's also a facility that has a 24-bed ICU, where we're able to admit the critically ill patients. And if need be, we're able to even increase this capacity. We also have, so we admit mostly, majority of our patients are adults that we admit in this facility. We're able to admit up to 450 patients in this facility.
Besides the bed capacity, the facility is well equipped with oxygen supply on each bed.
So it's already piped? We will have at least 2 patients.
Yeah, 2 patients. And we are thinking maybe we can divide.
We've also expanded our capacity where we've constructed a 60-bed unit with 6 ICU beds. This will also help us in case the numbers continue to rise as we've been seeing in the recent past. So as I speak right now, we're continuing to prepare and get more and more staff on board as well, because the care of these patients also requires well-trained nurses, well-trained doctors, and actually all cadres to take care of the patients. Currently, we have enough healthcare providers. The management and also through the ministry, we've managed to get more doctors and more nurses, and we continue to hire as the numbers continue to increase.
The gas plant is a cornerstone in recovery of patients here. With a capacity to produce between 400 and 600 liters of oxygen per minute, it can cater for a surplus of 2,000 patients.
We have an oxygen plant, 4 units, and 1 unit produces 400 to 600 liters per minute. In a day, you can calculate that to 7,200 liters. And at all the time, we use 1 plant at a time. In case the plant fails, when someone is not looking or not checking on it, we have a backup plan of manifold that supplies to the hospital. So the consumer, that is the patient, will ever not notice that there is low shortage of oxygen. Oxygen plant have 4 units. The first unit is the compressor. The compressor is responsible for taking air from the atmosphere and compresses it to the next unit, which is the dryer. The dryer is responsible for drying the air that is to the room temperature, that is lowering the temperature and drying it free from water droplets. It takes it to the next unit, which is the air reservoir, and the air reservoir is where we have just air, which is contained there. Ready to go to the next unit, which is the generator, where we have a PSA generator. This generator is the one that have zeolites. Zeolites are responsible for holding all the other gases and letting the oxygen pass through.
Most health facilities in the country lack such a plant and hence resort to purchase the precious commodity from other manufacturers. Currently, there are about 200 COVID-19 patients, and those attending to them are allowed entry.
We've been doing a good job. We've had 134 recoveries since the first positive patients that we admitted.
Our journey to the wards, therefore, began with donning, a process involving wearing protective gears, PPEs, leg covers, boots, masks.
Then there are these two strings. The down one, this one comes down here. And then this one, it goes up like that.
Googles.
Then this one, yeah, his is fine.
Face shields and gowns. Care must be taken, and slight exposure could put you in danger of contracting the virus. Those who work here have mastered the routine. Patients who have recovered from COVID-19 here after testing negative at least twice have been separated from those still living with the disease.
We are cohorting our patients in terms of the length of hospital stay and whether positive or negative. So once we receive a positive patient, we place them in a particular ward where you find that we admit patients in the span of 1 to 2 days. 1 to 2 days, they're placed in one particular ward, such that we don't mix a patient who has been here for a month with a patient who is newly diagnosed. That makes it easy for us to prevent reinfection and all that.
A cheerful Juma, not his real name, a COVID-19 recovered patient, welcomes us to his bed.
I landed on 25th mwezi wa tatu from Dubai. I was working in a cruise ship, yeah. So when I came on 25th, tulichukuliwa tukapelekwa KMTC, where I was quarantined there for more than 21 days. But for the first 14 days, tuliangaliwa pale tukakaa. After 14 days tukapimwa. The first test I turned negative. Nashukuru ilikuwa vizuri. But for that time, kuna wenzetu kama 4 walikuwa wamepatikana tukiwa hapo quarantine. Ikabidi tukaongezewa zingine 14 days. So kwa zile the second 14 days, ndo mimi nikapatikana positive.
The isolation and treatment offered during his 45 days stay at this facility has cleared him of COVID-19 related symptoms after undergoing 2 tests.
Wakanizungumzisha, wakaniambia it's normal, kwa vile inategemea pia na damu yako venye iko. Symptoms maybe zinaweza kuwa hakuna, lakini bado uko na hiyo COVID kwa mwili yako. Nikasema it's okay, no problem. Nikakaa for more 10 days again. Nikapimwa tena. Kupimwa nikapatikana negative. Kupatikana negative, when you get the first negative, you wait for 24 hours, whereby unapimwa tena for the second negative. So the second negative sikubahatika tena, nikapatikana tena positive. Naona. Sasa kupatikana positive, ikabidi tena, I wait nikae tena for 7 days more, nipimwe tena. It's okay. For me, nilikuwa nataka, I want my health to be good, nataka pia nene nyumbani nikiwa salama. So sina shida, ikabidi nivumilie tena. So nashukuru Mungu, after those 10 days, saa hii ndo nikapatikana negative ya kwanza. Nikapimwa tena ya pili, after 24 hours nikapatikana negative. So I thank God, I'm good now. I'm just waiting to go home.
His neighbor in this ward happens to be his contact, who also tested positive for coronavirus after him.
Nilivyopatikana kwamba kuna mmoja wetu alikuwa positive na mimi nilikuwa contact, basi tukatengwa watu 13 tukaenda Karen. Tulivyomaliza siku 10 kule tukapimwa. Siku ya 10 ndo nikapatikana niko positive.
But thanks to doctors here, he's also a confirmed recovered patient.
Sijakuwa na symptoms, ila saa zingine unasikia kidogo kichefuchefu hivyo. But ile matibabu tunapewa hapa nao kutegemea kulingana na vile wametusaidia. Nasema hata mwili wangu sahi naona uko sawa sawa kabisa.
However, this middle-aged woman, whom we name Joanne, who hails from Nairobi's Kawangware area, has a different story. Currently struggling with high blood pressure, for her, it has been a 2-month battle with COVID-19.
One day I got a phone call from Ministry of Health, and they told me that I came into contact with a person with COVID. Since that time, they traced me, then they came in my house. They did the test. Then after the test, the following day they came and picked us. They picked me, my daughter, and my cousin. When we came here, we were brought to the ward. We waited for 14 days. We retested again. We turned positive again. Then we waited for 7 days. My daughter turned negative. She went home. Then after that, the experience is the same. After 7 days, I have been turning positive for so many times. I think I have around five to 6 times, yeah. The first symptoms I experienced is I was not smelling anything. I was not tasting. I didn't have the taste. My throat, I had something blocking here, and it was scratchy. So sometimes I could cough, headache. Then I could feel the joints. It's like I've been digging somehow. I was very tired.
Nyambura has been here for 2 months now, and having tested positive 6 times, she'll be forced to continue staying here until she gets well. Her hope is that her next test turns negative for the sake of her 6-month-old baby who is at home.
The story of the three is a picture of the pain and agony this contagion has subjected those infected.
I feel bad. I feel like I'm not going to be better. Not recovering is stress. I've been through a lot of stress. Knowing that my daughter, she's not sucking, she's not breastfeeding. My husband, she's not at work at all. Sometimes they call me, they tell me my daughter, she's sick. Sometimes a lot of stress, I can't even tell you.
This thing is real. For me, nimetoka countries za nje, I've been to Italy, so nimeona hii kitu ni real, umesikia? So for me, what I can advise the people outside there, tafadhali, mjitolee tu mpimo. It's good to know your health, umesikia? Pia wale watu unaishi nao, pia utaishi nao vizuri.
The visit would not end without another process of the removal of the gear called doffing. It is done to prevent us from contaminating others in case we or our gear could have picked the virus from the wards. I went first, and everybody else I was with in the wards, our equipment too. Currently, there is no treatment or cure for COVID-19 disease. Governments are therefore urging their citizens to adhere to guidelines on COVID-19 prevention, such as use of masks, keeping 1 meter distance, and staying at home where necessary. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News, at the Kenyatta University Referral Hospital in Nairobi County.
Right, and that's what we had prepared for you tonight on Family Matters KBC. Of course, what exactly happens inside an isolation and treatment center for COVID-19, a new disease that nobody seemed to understand the cure or the vaccine, but nations are trying to really avoid and isolate those who have the virus to just avoid spread of this COVID-19. There are a few isolation centers in the country, and every county has tried to set up one, and that is the whole process of getting into an isolation center. And actually there is a separation for every hospital. There is a separation of an isolation center for COVID-19 and treatment of other illnesses, so that's why you don't have to fear going to hospital for any kind of treatment. Let me quickly go through your feedback. On Twitter, Opio Polycop, you're saying this life of no gatherings and football curfew, it's boring. And let's who again was watching Family Matters. Right at Maseno, you're saying you're watching Channel 1 Weekend and of course Family Matters KBC. And then we had Nebato, you're saying you are watching, and a very inspiring story from the COVID-19 patients. Nanjero, you are also watching Channel 1 Weekend. And then Silas and Jura, you're saying we are at tough times during this pandemic and flood, and COVID-19 has led to loss of many lives. I urge the government to airlift those affected with floods and help those vulnerable during this pandemic Edgar Elirot, you are watching Sunday night news from Mikindani, Kwamwanzia. That's where you're watching from. Kamali, you also saying it's so sad to see people suffering, and yet we are being told about BBI. All right. Lastly, on Twitter, Edgar Elirot, you're saying you're watching touching stories from COVID-19 patients right there at KU, and also a sad story from Tana River County. May the county and the national government take immediate action. Let me go to Facebook. Those who are streaming live, thank you so much for your company. At Anne Joy, you were watching Channel 1 Weekend and Family Matters on COVID-19 Isolation Center. Now I understand and believe there is corona in the country. Indeed, there is corona not just in the country but all over the world. Adibu Moses, thanks. I'm tuned in from Babadogo. Julius, watching from Malindi, Ganda, and James Maura, you are watching from Kayole. Watching from Thika, Joseph Kaboi and Anne Waithira, you're saying such inspiring story. I didn't imagine that the pain people go through. May the Lord be with the lady who has a 6-month-old baby at home. Of course, wishing her the very best. Isaac Kipchumba, watching from Eldoret. Thank you so much for watching Channel 1 Weekend this night, and most importantly, our segment on Family Matters. It's been great having you company. Of course, tomorrow, holiday, Madaraka Day. Do enjoy yourself, and of course, stay at home, stay safe, wash your hands, put on that mask if you have to go out. I am Purity Museo. Lenza Odingo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Do have yourself a peaceful night, and God bless.
Good evening, a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Odim. Weather patterns for Monday won't be so different from what we experienced today. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, it is important to note that tonight the whole country will experience partly cloudy conditions. Monday morning, the country will be characterized by sunny conditions. The sun will be out in the capital at 6:29 a.m. and for you at the coast, expect the sun to be out at 6:35 a.m. In the afternoon, similar weather conditions will persist over most parts of the country apart from Kisii, Kericho, Eldoret, and Kakamega, where showers accompanied by thunderstorms will be experienced over few places. Favorable weather temperatures are expected tomorrow. The highest across the country will be experienced in Mandera at 37 degrees Celsius. The capital will experience maximum of 26 degrees Celsius and lows of 14 degrees Celsius. The coastal region, Kitui County, and northeastern parts of the country will experience southerly winds at a speed of 12 meters per second. That's your weather. Let's now cross the borders and see how the weather will be in other parts of the world. Do have a good night and have a blessed day ahead.